Pursuant to the order of the House of January 2nd, 2026, the unfinished business is the further consideration of the veto message of the President on H.R. 504. The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 504, an act to amend the Miccosukee Reserved Area Act to authorize the expansion of the Miccosukee Reserved Area and to carry out activities to protect structures within the Osceola Camp from flooding and for other purposes.
The question is, will the House, on reconsideration, pass the bill? The objections of the President to the contrary withstanding. The gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westman, is recognized for 1 hour.
Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of debate only, I yield the customary 30 minutes to the gentleman from California, Mr. Huffman, the ranking member of the House Committee on Natural Resources, pending which I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous material on the veto message of the President of the United States to the bill H.R. 504.
Objection.
Mr. Speaker, we're here today as President Trump has returned H.R. 504, the Miccosukee Reserved Area Amendments Act, to the House of Representatives without his approval. H.R. 504, sponsored by Representative Jimenez, would amend the Miccosukee Reserved Area Act, or MRAA, to include the Osceola Camp, a tribal village within the Everglades as part of the Miccosukee Reserved Area. It also directs the Secretary of the Interior, in consultation with the tribe, to safeguard structures within the Osceola Camp from flooding events. The Miccosukee Tribe is currently located in the greater Everglades in southern Florida. Following federal recognition of the tribe in 1962, the Miccosukee's northernmost villages within what became Everglades National Park were managed under a special use permit until 1998, when Congress placed that permit framework with the MRAA, authorizing the tribe's use of the area and noting it as Indian country. The original law did not include Osceola Camp. H.R. 504 would include the Osceola Camp in the Miccosukee Reserved Area and formalize a partnership between the tribe and the federal government to address flooding risk in the area. H.R. 504 passed the House Committee on Natural Resources in June 2025 and the House of Representatives in July 2025. However, I respect the President's views on this legislation and his commitment to fiscal responsibility, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Arkansas reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Natural Resources Committee is entrusted with working on behalf of Indian country. And while we don't always agree on everything, we have a long history of bipartisan work and a shared commitment to advancing legislation that benefits tribal communities. H.R. 504 is one clear example of this. It addresses long-standing challenges caused by past federal policies, and it is an opportunity, I would argue an obligation, to support the Miccosukee Tribe in their efforts to protect their homelands. But President Trump has undermined that work, vetoing this bill based on unrelated policy disputes and a fundamental misunderstanding of tribal sovereignty. H.R. 504 would expand the Miccosukee Reserve Area to include Osceola Camp, which would strengthen the tribe's ability to self-govern and, importantly, to address serious flooding concerns facing the village. This bipartisan bill is narrow, it is targeted, and it respects tribal sovereignty. After reviewing the President's statement regarding his veto, it's very clear that this decision was not limited to the merits of the bill or to any particular policy. Instead, his statement criticizes the tribe for actions taken to protect the Everglades, their homelands, from environmental risks. It even takes issue with the tribe's opposition to his administration's unpopular immigration policies. Moreover, the statement reflects a fundamental misunderstanding of tribal nations and the obligations that the United States have to those sovereign governments. Let me be clear. Tribes are not special interests. They're not seeking special treatment. They are sovereign nations with legal and moral responsibilities to protect the well-being of their citizens and their homelands. And the United States has a government-to-government responsibility to work with them. Unrelated policy disagreements should never be used to undermine that relationship. The Miccosukee Tribe has worked for generations to protect their homelands within the Everglades. H.R.504 would ensure that a historic tribal village is protected while allowing for critical restoration efforts to move forward without displacing the community. It's pretty straightforward. It's non-controversial. It was broadly, universally bipartisan. It never should have been vetoed. I urge my colleagues to support H.R. 504, vote yes on overriding this veto, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have no request for time. I'm prepared to close, and I continue to reserve.
The gentleman from Arkansas reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
I reserve.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
You're going to close? Yeah. Okay, I can close. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do have a colleague that's just arrived. I am so pleased to yield 5 minutes to the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Wasserman Schultz.
The gentlewoman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, it is disappointing that I must rise to support this veto override of the Miccosukee Reserved Area Amendments Act. It is a very common-sense bill, as our unanimous vote in both houses of Congress clearly demonstrated. It is simple. This act would absorb the Osceola Camp into the Miccosukee Reservation and directs the Tribe and Interior Department to jointly protect the camp from flooding. This work is already underway as we speak. But let's address the erroneous reasons that it was vetoed. First, it does not appropriate or authorize any new spending. The Congressional Budget Office verified that. And this bill in no way bestows special treatment, as it was alleged in the veto message, because the site wasn't authorized when it was inhabited. On these points, it appears the President's staff gave him bad advice, bad facts, or both. The reality is the tribe came to the Everglades after being driven from their homes in the early 1800s. As the Miccosukee moved to what is now Everglades National Park, they formed temporary camps on tree islands. The water that flows through our river of grass was a source of food, water, and a means of transit. Depot Tiger settled on a tree island at the turn of the 20th century. Her son, John Tiger Poole, was born there and later helped found the Osceola Camp. But the construction of a new major roadway split their camp, and it dried up the water that they relied upon, forcing the family to move to a different part of their camp. Family members still live, visit, and protect the land where Depot Tiger's home once stood. None of these facts are in dispute, as my Republican colleagues who sponsored and voted for this well know. Protecting this land and the Miccosukee's ability to live there must never be sacrificed by party politics or revenge. This bill was introduced by House and Senate Republicans, backed by the Florida delegation, and approved unanimously. Hardly a candidate for a veto. Our nation made a commitment to the Miccosukee and hundreds of other tribes to protect their lands, resources, and sovereignty. Congress must stand by that commitment and override the President's veto. The sanctity of Native American lands is something that is of the utmost importance to Native American tribes, and all of us in this country that represent Native American lands and Native Americans, we make a commitment regularly that we are going to help protect those rights. Allowing this veto to stand flies in the face of that, especially because each of us in both houses of Congress lent our votes to this legislation. There are times for vetoes, and I have seen presidents in both parties issue a veto, and robust and healthy debate plays out on this floor for good reason, and members decide where they want to land. But that is always when we have seen a result that was mixed, where there were people who voted against the bill. No one voted against this bill. This bill is entirely non-controversial, and it is so narrowly focused that it makes absolutely no sense other than the interest in vengeance that seems to have emanated in this result. I urge my colleagues to vote to override this inappropriate and unfortunate veto, and I yield back.
The gentleman from Florida yields back. The gentleman from California is recognized. The gentleman is informed that the gentleman from Arkansas has no further speakers. Is the gentleman prepared to close? The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, to state the obvious, this bill has nothing to do with immigration. It is a very important bill, though, about tribal sovereignty. It is a well-crafted bill. It is bipartisan. It is non-controversial. Someone in the White House has decided to use it as a hostage to play politics, very, very petty politics, very personal politics because of score settling. They've chosen to do that, but that doesn't mean that all of us have to be used as pawns to advance that nastiness. This veto signal sends a terrible message, and it comes after a year of uncertainty in Indian country, which included significant funding cuts, workforce reductions, and the withdrawal of key executive orders that were designed to support tribes. I urge my colleagues to do the right thing by the Miccosukee Tribe and pass this veto override. Let's ensure that this tribe continues to have access to the historic Osceola Camp and that their homelands remain protected for future generations. I yield back.
The gentleman from California yields back. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, again, I respect the administration's views on this legislation. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is, will the House on reconsideration pass the bill, the objections of the President to the contrary notwithstanding? Under the Constitution, the vote must be by the yeas and the nays. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings will be postponed.